Navigating English advice. The power of should and ought to. Hello, English learners. Today, we're going to dive into a very important aspect of English grammar. We're going to explore how to use the modal verbs should and ought to when giving advice. These two modal verbs are essential tools for any English speaker, and they can help make your communication more nuanced and precise. So, let's get started. Firstly, it's essential to understand what modal verbs are. They are a type of auxiliary verb that expresses necessity, possibility, permission, or ability. In our case, should and ought to are used to offer advice, suggest an action, or express what is believed to be the best course of action. The word should is commonly used to give advice or suggestions. When using should, we imply that the advice or suggestion is a good idea and is likely to be beneficial. Here are a few examples. You should drink more water. It's good for your health. They should arrive early to get good seats. Similar to should, ought to is another way to give advice or suggestions. It generally has the same meaning as should, but is a bit more formal. Here are a few examples. You ought to try this new book. It's quite interesting. We ought to take an umbrella. It might rain later. While should and ought to are often interchangeable, there are a few differences to note. Should is much more common, especially in everyday speech. On the other hand, ought to is more formal and is less frequently used, especially in American English. Moreover, ought to isn't usually used in questions or negatives. And that wraps up our lesson for today. Remember, should and ought to are powerful modal verbs for giving advice in English. Practice using them in your daily conversations, and you'll find your English communication skills improving. Hope this video has been helpful to you, and happy learning!